Greetings, everyone. You are tuned into the Trust and Believe Nomad Cast here on a Thursday on December 2nd, 2021. Appreciate you guys tuning in today and taking time out your day to get the visual, to get the audio, and do all the et ceteras. Hope you guys had a great Wednesday. Me and my family, we had a great Wednesday as well, gearing up for the holiday season, just like everyone else is. So things are looking good. Things are looking great. And you continue to be great. For all my brand new followers and subscribers, if you like what you see, you have 34 episodes of this, so you can kind of binge watch. You know how you do on Netflix and Hulu. Just binge watch the Trust and Believe Nomad Cast. Again, I got 34, 35 episodes coming in already in the stash on freaking all the audio sites, all the podcast sites, the YouTubes, the Vimos, and all those. So subscribe, follow, download, and do all the et ceteras to continue to support this channel. Something I love, something I enjoy doing Monday through Thursday, and keep going at it till we can't go no more. So one thing I want to talk about today, there's a couple things I want to talk about in my opening remarks. And you know, if everyone's familiar, I know everyone doesn't follow sports, but I think this is also, it could serve as a life lesson as well. So you have Lincoln Riley, who formerly coached the University of Oklahoma. Now he coaches the University of Southern Cal, otherwise known as USC. So he left Norman, Oklahoma to go to Los Angeles, California. He had been coaching in Oklahoma for, I think, 7 years. He took over for Bob Stoops when Bob Stoops retired. So he's getting a lot of backlash. And also, along with that, Brian Kelly coached the University of Notre Dame. And I like to call it Nothing Dame, you know, being a Michigan guy. But he used to coach the University of Notre Dame. And he ended up leaving to go to LSU, Louisiana State University. So these coaches are getting a lot of heat, a lot of flack, and, you know, it could be justified. But, you know, the thing about it, they crucify a lot of the college players who, if they don't get a lot of playing time, if they're not on the first string or second string, they end up transferring to going to another university, and or they leave and go to the NFL or just quit altogether. But then, you know, the coaches, you know, finally starting to get pushback because of the way they're leaving. Now, in college football, you have your destination jobs, your USCs, Michigans, Ohio States, Alabama, some of those blue blood, as we call them, universities. And typically what happens, if you start at a lower level university, you kind of work your way up. And it's known when you take a low level job and you one of them coaches that's on the radar, that's on the rise, everyone's looking at you. Usually you stay at a low level college for about 2 or 3 years and you start transitioning upward mobility. Because at the end of the day, that's what we all supposed to do, right? And so Brian Kelly, who used to coach Notre Dame, he started at Grand Valley State, went to Central Michigan, went to Cincinnati, to Notre Dame. Now he is at LSU. So he has shown that upward mobility. But I think what the issue is the way these coaches are leaving, because they're in the middle of getting ready to go into bowl season, where all the teams go to different bowls, you know, depending on how many wins they have in a year. Typically it's 6 to get authorized to go to a bowl. And so he left in the middle of that. Notre Dame didn't have any more games left this year. And right now, I think they're number 6 in the college football ranking. So they may not even make the playoffs. A lot of chaos got to happen before that. But, you know, all that, you know, pushed to the side. He ended up talking to his former team, Notre Dame. He talked to these guys. He sent them a text the night prior. And everyone already found out on social media. People, you know, leaked the information and everything. The ESPNs and all these people, they were already on it. So he sent a text to the team, a group text, you know, sorry that you guys had to find out this way, so on and so forth. I want to meet with you guys tomorrow at 7 o'clock a.m. to explain everything. Now, he has already signed, sealed, and delivered going to LSU. So he met with the University of Notre Dame, the team that, you know, talking about 100 football players and support staff and assistant coaches and all these guys. They in the room. You can see the video. He talked to them for like 2 minutes. Hey, I know you guys, you know, we built the foundation here. You guys are going to be successful. And he kept using the term you. There was no more of us and we. It was you. You got a chance to go to the playoffs. You got a chance to do this and that. He talked to these guys for like 2 or 3 minutes, and then he just left. He didn't take any questions from reporters, didn't take any questions from the student athletes, didn't take any questions from the assistant coaches. And if you see the video, you see once he departs the facility, there was no, oh, coach left us. There was no clapping. It was like dead silent. And I think the way that he kind of left that situation, you know, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Because I know, being as a recruiter, you know, you go into a mother and father's living room and you tell that son, you know, you're going to be here. I'm going to be here for 3 years. I'm going to make sure he gets his education, so on and so forth. And I talked about this a few weeks back. I think that's what's troubling, because right now you can't put your stock in a coach, you know, because at the end of the day, they could tell you everything they need to tell you to ensure you sign that letter of intent with that university. But in the back of their mind, are they really looking for that next destination job? So sometimes I think you have to really kind of separate the personal from the business. At the end of the day, you are a student athlete. Yeah, this coach recruited you. He wants you to be here. He came into your mother and father's living room to talk about this university and all the academics and everything that you can do, that you can achieve with hard work and dedication and sacrifice and, you know, selfless service and all those values. But the deal of it is, at the end of the day, you're going to leave, hopefully graduate, hopefully go to the NFL if that's your choice. And I think a lot of times I don't have an issue with him leaving, because we all want upward mobility. We all want to leave and go to the next best thing. However, I think sometimes it's the way you leave. It's the way that message is conveyed. Because now you talking about 18, 19, 20-year-olds. And remember, us at that age, we're all impressionable. You know, we believe the first thing that sounds great. Now, what happens now to that person that he recruited last year that was a senior in high school, and now he's at the University of Notre Dame, and you told his parents that I'm going to be here with little Johnny. I'm going to ensure he gets his degree. We're going to do everything we need to do to make him a model citizen, someone that can, you know, be of substance to society. And all of a sudden I leave. Now, what little Johnny got to understand, yeah, my heart is broken. My coach is leaving, but I'm still here to get my education. I'm still here, if I want to go to the NFL, to do the things I need to do to be successful so I can go to the NFL. So my thing is, I would tell all the college kids that's had coaches that will leave. It's just like with leaders in the military. You know, you have soldiers, you have leadership that you end up loving these cats, and they take care of you. They do everything they need to do to make you successful. And then all of a sudden they PCS. Well, it's a difference, because they're leaving. It's not by choice, it's by military orders. But what I'm saying is, you get so fixated with a person, and you enjoy being around that leader. You know, they helping you evolve as a person. They're helping you be the best person that you can be. And all of a sudden they're gone. So it hurts a little bit, but you also have to understand that sting doesn't last that long. So let me take everything that he taught me, all his attributes, all his values, everything that he wants me to be as a person, what he talked about as being a great person, and use that as a way to, you know, have a testimony for others. Hey, I've been through it. You know, my coach left, or my leader left, and, you know, I really enjoyed being around this person. They taught me everything I need to know. I'm going to use all these tools to be successful. Again, I'm just talking here, but I think a lot of times, you know, the student athletes have to understand it's a business, but then the coaches have to understand there is a human element with that, the way you leave, you know. And then with the case with Lincoln Riley, you know, he ended up leaving, going to USC. And the big thing, they were saying that, what would you rather have? You know, you're a coach that's making $5-6 million a year. Would you want to make $5 million coaching at Oklahoma, which is one of the blue blood schools? Would you want to coach in Norman, Oklahoma, because that's where the University of Oklahoma is located? You're making $5 million a year, and you coach at the University of Oklahoma in Norman, versus making $5 million a year, just throwing numbers out, versus making $5 million a year living in Los Angeles coaching USC, where your wife can shop on Rodeo Drive versus shopping in Norman, Oklahoma at the local strip mall, at the local outlet. You know, so it's all about lifestyle. I think that's the biggest thing. It's all about lifestyle. What do you really want in life? You know, I talked about this the other day. It's the difference between being happy and being happier. Is happier more important than being happy? You know, it is what it is. So I just want to kind of just talk about that. You know, it's a lot of issues going on in the world. We're talking about these freaking the COVID, all these different variants, all these little things coming out, and you know, all these issues with the schools, and there's so much stuff, so much negative stuff going on in society. I try to keep this thing as light as possible, telling my stories, talking about sports and other things. I just want to keep this thing as light as possible because we have so much heaviness going on in the world. But you got to continue to move forward, got to continue to move through that tunnel and understand this is the world we live in. How do I continue to be a great person? How do I continue to be a good person in a world where there are bad people? Now, everyone isn't bad. Everyone's situation isn't bad. At the end of the day, you have to take care of your own, watch out for your own to ensure that you're successful, doing the right thing, and everything will work out the way it's supposed to be. All right. So that was my opening remarks today. I'm going to talk about, dang, the opening remarks are almost 11 minutes long. So today I'm going to talk about, share a story way back in 2000, sneaker stories on a Thursday, and it involved running when I used to run in the Army before I injured my foot and became a permanent walker. We'll talk about running in Hanau, Germany, wearing some Nike Prestos that I bought at the PX in 2000. And I had some issues with people and had some issues with myself with that. So again, download, subscribe, do all the etceteras, like, follow, Trust and Believe Nomad Cast. Next up, sneaker stories on a Thursday. On a Thursday? On a Thursday. Stay tuned. Trust and Believe. Hey, welcome back to the Trust and Believe Nomad Cast. Again, I'm your host, Mr. Anderson, here on a Thursday. Sneaker stories on a Thursday. On a Thursday? Yeah, on a Thursday. All right, so today, as I already talked about, we'll talk about some Nike Prestos that I purchased way back in 2000. The Nike Prestos. I purchased them at a PX, which is a post exchange on all Army bases, and the Navy have the Navy Exchange, and Marine Corps have the MCCS, and the Air Force call them BXs, base exchanges. Pretty much what they are just shopping malls on base, right? So I purchased a pair of Nike Prestos, like I said, way back in 2000, and when we were stationed in Hanau, Germany. In Hanau, Germany, they had a bunch of bases. They call them concerns in Germany, but they're bases. And we were stationed near a shopping plaza called Wolfgang Concern, which is no longer there. I think they redeveloped it, repurposed it for something else once they gave all the land back to the Germans. But nevertheless, it was called Wolfgang Concern. And you drive in the gate, you make a right, and you go past the commissary, go past the PX, and then right around the corner was the sports store where they sold all their shoes. So with that being said, I purchased these. Now, it's not, of course, not this one. This is a replica. I bought this in Korea at one of the Nike stores in Korea. But this is the Nike Presto that came out in 2000. And originally when Nike brought these out, the tagline was, it's a t-shirt for your feet. Now, at the time, the shoes were very light. This is when running shoes and basketball shoes and all that, etc., they started utilizing modern material. Again, this is 2000. Start using modern material. If you notice, the shoe is very soft. It feels good. Some Nike shoes, some jogging shoes anyway, feels better with socks. Some feels better with bare feet, right? And on a note, if you're wearing shoes, right, just a hygiene point, if you wear shoes without socks, put some daggone baby powder in your shoes. Some on your feet and inside your shoe. That way your shoe is not smelling like Machine Gun Funk, right? But nonetheless, so they started making these shoes. The materials were a little bit lighter and everything. And this shoe was actually a great shoe. It wasn't a great shoe to run in, as I'm gonna tell you the story, but it was a great shoe because it kind of hugged your foot. To me, this was more of a chilling shoe. But again, this is a retro that came out a few years ago. I bought these, like I said, at a Nike store in Korea. And you can see the shoe, man. It's a great looking shoe. Very lightweight shoe. I haven't worn it as much. So I bought these, 2018, and it's 21 now. I probably wore these probably about 10 times in 3 years. It's a good chilling shoe, a good summertime shoe, right? But the original ones I bought in Germany, they were blue. All this, if I remember, was blue. This was blue as well. This little thing on the side here. This was blue, and all this was white as well. But the Nike Presto, originally manufactured in 2000, and I bought these in Korea at a Nike store in Korea, and not none of them fake Nike stores in Korea, like a legit Nike store. All right, the Nike Presto. So this is how the story goes. So it was 2000, and it was a battalion S3 sergeant major who was getting ready to retire, and it had been rumblings around the unit that he wanted to go on this one last run, right? And this sergeant major, he was one of them old school sergeant majors. He already had, I think, 30 years in anyway. He was getting ready to retire. And so he wanted to go on this one last run. So, of course, the battalion command sergeant majors are going to support it. All the first sergeants are going to support it. So, of course, we as troops, NCOs, I was a specialist then. So we all, got to support it. You have to do it. So originally this run was only supposed to be 2 miles. 2 miles up and down, and we back. He'll talk about how he loved the Army, this, and that, and the third, and then, move on. Because, again, he was already 30 years in. This was 2000, so he had joined in 1970. One of them old school cats. He reminded me of one of them old school master gunnery sergeants that I had in the Marine Corps. Just real, he talked like this, real gruffy, old school type cat. You know what I mean? The kind that, back in the day when you had certain sergeant majors, you didn't want to see him. You see him and you look the other way, especially when you was a troop. That's just how it was back then, right? And he was a good dude. He'd talk to you, talk with the troops. Whenever we had sergeant's time training, he'd come out and, he'll blast you if you wasn't instructing properly. But then he also pull you to the side and kind of give you that lessons learned. And this is what you should do, so on and so forth, right? But he'll blast you in a minute. He didn't care. Again, he was one of these old school cats. So they was talking about, hey, Sergeant, I can't remember his name, but there's a sergeant major, he want to have a run. This and that's only going to be like 2 miles. And that's it. He just want to leave out on his own terms or whatever. So we're like, okay. And so this is before I hurt my foot. So I was actually a runner back then before I ended up transitioning to being a permanent walker, which was like years away. So again, this is 2000. So the Nike Prestos, how they involved in this story, I end up wearing these. So I'm going to take you back to the night prior to this run. So there's like, okay, the run is going to be tomorrow. We're going to meet up here at 0630, salute the flag, do all that. Sergeant Major say his remarks. When we out, we come back, he'll say something else, and then you release to go conduct personal hygiene and report back to work. Typical Army type stuff, typical military day-to-day tasks, right? So I'm like, okay. So the platoon sergeant called us and let us know, hey, tomorrow, be ready. We're going to have a run. Make sure you hydrate. Because it was Germany in the summertime, and Germany gets cold, but people don't realize in the summer it's very humid. It gets hot. So he was like, make sure y'all hydrate tomorrow. So we're like, okay. We said okay. I said okay, but it wasn't okay. So the night prior, me and my wife, we decided to watch The Art of War, which is a movie with Wesley Snipes, right? And so we watched this. We got the DVD, and we watched this movie. It was like, it had to be like 11 o'clock when we turned this movie on, and we just started watching it. Knowing we should have had our butt to sleep. Knowing I should have had my butt to sleep because I had a freaking run the next day. But I was in really good running shape back then, so it was no issue. And I only had been a year away from getting out the Marines, so I was excellent with running. Cardio, everything was straight. But I had an issue. So we stayed up and we watched The Art of War, and we turned that movie on like 11 o'clock or so, and it didn't go off to like 12:30, almost 1 o'clock. Now I usually get up about 5:30 to get ready for PT, and then usually leave my residence about 5:45 or so, because Underwood Concern, where I was stationed at in Germany, it wasn't that far from where my housing was at. And so I ended up going to bed. We watched Art of War, getting ready to go to bed, and I couldn't sleep. I was just tossing and turning. And that was back then when I used to be able to sleep 3 hours, 4 hours, and still be fully functional for that work day. So I couldn't hardly sleep. I don't know what it was. Now, I didn't drink any water. I'm a lemonade type dude, so I drank all this lemonade. Piss just yellow as a caution light. And so got up the next day. And for some reason, I was like, man, I really want to freaking wear my Prestos, the PT. I'm going to freaking wear these things. And I shouldn't have been running in them. And I ended up paying the price. And I'm freaking running in these things, right? And so I got ready to put my shoes on, went downstairs and everything, kissed my wife goodbye, kissed my daughter goodbye, the whole nine, and showed up for PT. Sergeant Major, he out there, we all talking. And now, previous, we was like, he's only going to run 2 miles. So everybody's like, man, Sergeant Major talking about he want to run like 5-6 miles today. And now I was a runner back then, but I'm like, I really don't feel like running because I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. Me and my wife, we stayed up and watched The Art of War. Man, it's a little hot out here this morning. I'm already freaking sweating. Man, I really don't feel like doing this. I hope it's just go down the street, come back, and we good. So, Sergeant Major said his piece. We rendered proper courtesies to the flag and everything. Battalion commander said something. The battalion command sergeant major said his piece, and we out. So we running. I mean, we running full bore. It ain't no let's lead up to it. And we running. We conducted our daily exercises prior to that, but we was gone. So we start running. So we leave out of Underwood Concern and we make a right. I can't remember the name of that street. So we go all the way down to this next street, which I can't remember. And then we made another right, and we just freaking gone. We gone past the PX. I mean, we just rolling. We're not running. We're rolling. And we just freaking going. Do. So that first few miles, I was feeling pretty good. I'm like, okay, I'm all right. I'm all right. Next thing you know, I start feeling all that lemonade I was drinking the night prior. Plus, it was very humid that particular morning. And now I'm like, I'm ready to freaking turn around and let's go. So Sergeant Major, they calling cadence. All the platoon sergeants calling cadence. The NCOs calling cadence. Everybody calling cadence. And I'm like, man, I am ready to go. I'm getting tired. And I was in good shape back then. But I'm running. So I noticed, like, while I was running, my foot, this was on my right side, it was just kind of just shifting back and forth because you can see the shoe was very light. And at that time, I wasn't used to a very light shoe, right? And just the way the strings were, the way the shoe was structured on my foot was wrong. I knew it was some issues. So then my foot started hurting. And when I was in the Marines, I had a stress fracture on my right foot. That didn't help. So now I'm running and I could just feel my foot. It was almost like the foot was just not touching the ground. It was almost like slapping the ground. And Lord knows I want to freaking just quit. But there's no way I couldn't because, mind you, we had the whole battalion, the battalion command team, all the support staff, the staff, all the freaking batteries. And then I was in 19th Maintenance Company. It was just like, wow, I need to freaking stop. But there's no way I can stop because if you stop, then people, they put you on straggler patrol and people got to come get you. And, it's just a bunch of stuff you don't want to deal with. But I was really feeling dehydrated. My head was hurting and we still freaking rolling. So I'm looking at my watch, man. I'm like, man, we need to hurry up and get back. I want to go back and conduct personal hygiene and do all this other stuff. So we running. Sergeant Major's like, he don't care. This is his last major run in the military. He's running. So we finally turn around way past the PX. And right now we're probably, I would say 4 miles away from our base. So if we're 4 miles from our base, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We got to go back another 4 miles. So that's like a total of 8 miles. So we running. The first sergeant's like, come on, y'all. I mean, it's a gaggle of people. Again, we got a bunch of batteries. which is like, I was in the air defense artillery unit. So they didn't call it as companies, they call them batteries. But we was a support company, 19th maintenance company, right? So you got, I think it was like Alpha battery, Bravo battery, Charlie battery, Delta battery, and Echo battery, I think was stationed in Babenhausen, Germany. So they wasn't there. And then it was us. So we running. All these people calling cases, it's just mad loud. So we finally turn around and we come back and we running. Now my foot is like just hurt. I can feel it. You just feel it just slapping the ground, slapping the ground. I'm freaking dehydrated from drinking all that daggone lemonade and not getting a lot of sleep the night prior. Plus, in Germany, it's freaking humid during this time of the year. It's in the summer, and I'm just drenched with sweat. Everybody's drenched with sweat, and we still freaking running. So finally, we make it down, and we get ready to make this left. I'm like, if we make this left, we good, because I know we going back to base. We made the left, so now I got a little motivation. I'm like, okay, we almost there. We almost there. So in typical military army fashion, right? Soon as we get closer to the base, we pass the base. And I'm like, no! We passed the freaking base. And the sergeant major's like, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. And I'm looking at our base. We just passing by it. Now, my foot is hurting. I'm dehydrated. My head is hurting. I'm drenched in sweat, just like everybody else. But I'm just looking at base like, why we ain't make a turn there? We keep running all the way down to this other base that was next to ours called Gross Otterheim. So we get down there and we turn around and then we come back. And it wasn't that far, but it was the part that pissed me off, just like everybody else that was running. You know, you get fixated on stopping here. And then when we stop here, it's like all your motivation is gone. Because you could just look at everybody else in the formation running. It's like they was amped up, was getting ready to go back to base. And then all of a sudden, we were running past base. And it's like, base is back there, Sergeant Major, why are we not stopping? And you could just see like shoulders start sinking down. You could just tell people were tired. So we end up going back to base. In total, I think it was almost like maybe 7-8 miles, right? So we get back, Sergeant Major start talking. People's on the ground, you know, they telling people to keep your head above your heart and all that. So all in all, it was a good run. But I tell you, I blame staying up at night. I blame drinking all that lemonade at night. And I blame myself for wearing these freaking Nike Prestos that I shouldn't have been wearing, right? Because I hurt my foot wearing these freaking shoes for the fact that the material. And I don't want to blame the material because the shoe is a very light shoe. But I knew back then, way back in 2021, some years ago, with a version just like these that was blue. First of all, I should have just wore these for my original intent, was just to wear them on the regular instead of wearing them for PT. But, you know, I got to wear the latest shoes for PT. You know, I got to be fresh for PT, and end up hurting my foot. And my foot was hurting. And I think a lot of that, especially, you know, in the Marine Corps, hurt my foot and then hurt my foot on that run. And now I have foot issues. I've had foot issues forever since I've been in the military. But nonetheless, the Nike Presto, man, if you ever buy this, it's a very light shoe, but I definitely wouldn't recommend running in it. You know what I mean? But it's a very good shoe. Nike Prestos, originally produced in 2000, re-retroed a few years ago. And yeah, man, the Nike Prestos. But that's my sneaker story for today. It's not really theatric. It was just, I guess the biggest takeaway was don't get fixated on the target because that target moves. And my target was going back to base, getting ready to make that left inside base. And the sergeant major's like, nope, we going to keep going. And I'm like, no, I want to stop. Please make them stop. But I guess that, again, that's the biggest takeaway. Make sure that target is everything in life is a moving target. It's a moving target, man. It's very fluid. So don't get fixated on something. I should have just prepped my mind. Okay, we may not stop here. We may keep going. But I tell you, man, and just like anybody else that's been in the military, when you go on these long runs and then you think you're going to stop where you originated from and you don't stop there, it become a significant emotional event. And that's what it was that day. All right, so I appreciate you guys tuning in today on a sneaker story on a Thursday. I'm definitely glad you guys tuned in. welcome me back for this week after 2 weeks of taking a hiatus. And there's some things I still want to change. Like I stated before, by and large, I think I'm enjoying the way everything is set up. I still kind of tweak some things with the lighting and colorization and all that, but I think all this is going to stay the same. I'm really enjoying it. I like all this stuff behind me. I like clutter, right? Organized clutter. Let me put it like that. But again, I want you guys to have a great weekend. Again, I know originally I talked about going back, making the shows from Monday through Friday. Nix 9. I'm not doing that. I'm just going to go Monday through Friday. And Friday gives me a way to kind of look at the comments, look at the analytics, and, dive into the numbers and see what I want to talk about for the next week. And also give myself a day of not having to worry about, getting ready to shoot a podcast, to edit the podcast and upload to all these sites and strip the video, upload to the audios. Kind of gives me a day of rest, if you will, right? But again, Monday through Thursdays, I try to have everything uploaded at least by 3 o'clock, no later than 3 o'clock. Some may come earlier, some may come right at 3 or before 3. But that's my goal every Monday through Friday. Trust and Believe Nomad Cast. You see the website here down at the bottom. You go to that website, like I stated the other day. Go in the corner. You can access my social media sites, so on and so forth. Again, audio, Spotify, Apple, Google Play. I'm still waiting on Pandora, Amazon, all the et ceteras. All your favorite audio and podcast platforms, I'm on there, right? You can find the visual versions again at YouTube, at Vimeo. I'm on there as well, right? And Patreon, I'm on there as well. So if you want to look at this mug, this ugly mug, you got 3 options. If you want to listen to the voice, you got multiple options. So I'm there. Trust and Believe Nomad Cast. I want to thank you guys for tuning in this week. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. Again, binge watch all previous 35 episodes, right? This thing is going to keep rolling and rolling till it can't roll no more. I'm loving it. This is my therapy. I appreciate it. You guys have a great weekend. Be safe, be sound, protect your front, protect your left, protect your right, protect your back. Everything will be good. Utilize your third eye, which is your brain. Be safe and sound. Take care of yourself. Take care of your family members, and be safe. See you guys Monday next week for Monday Mental Combat. Stay tuned. Trust and Believe.